So we are very happy to see all of you. We are very proud to launch our English Without Borders Thursday webinars, and today we have a special guest, Zeboniso Murodova, and she will be talking today about digital storytelling. So just to say some information about this our project, English Without Borders, now is providing opportunity to get an e-certificate to all the attendees of our webinars who will be attending all 7 Thursday webinars starting from July 15 to August 26, and after the webinar taking the online quiz and at least getting 2 correct answers. And the links to the quiz will be provided at the end of each webinar and will be open until Monday 5 p.m. And we are very happy to see Zebo, and also we are waiting for more participants to join because our webinars are going live on Facebook as well, and we are also doing it in Zoom. So Zeboniso Murodova holds a bachelor degree in foreign languages, English and German at the Qurghonteppa State University in 2004, and she took her qualification as a teacher of English and started her teaching career from that year at school number 1 and 2 till 2020 in her hometown Sarband, now Levakant. She received the Teacher of the Year award in 2007 and 2010. Zeboniso was a participant of the U.S. State Department programs. One of them is T program, Teaching Excellence at Achievement in 2009, and she was also a finalist of the Fulbright FLTA and she also visited U.S. For 1 academic year in 2011-12. Since 2010, she is a recipient of 4 U.S. government alumni small grants to implement social projects on youth empowerment and women leadership. Currently, she is the coordinator of the Resource Center at Bokhtar State University. Zeboniso, welcome to the English Without Borders webinar. And now we are very happy to give the floor to you. Dear participants, please use this opportunity to ask your questions and also to participate in the quiz. And we'll be passing your questions to our speaker. So thank you very much. And now I'm giving the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Nasibajan, for introduction. It's my pleasure to be here and to share my experience with our audience, with our EVB followers. So I'm very excited today to share digital storytelling skills that I have learned and I have taught to my students. So during this presentation, I'm going to share you my experience, how I learned the skills, how I, during the challenging time, we wrote this project and how we implemented it. So I call this project Resilience through Digital Storytelling, because our digital storytelling theme was resilience during this hard time of COVID. And can we go to agenda? What is we are going to learn today? The agenda of today. Next slide, please. So what is, so you will learn today what is digital storytelling and the definition of what is digital and definition of what is story and the story element and how to make digital story, the whole process of it. And of course, watch a sample digital story created by my student. And I have prepared some activities from the workshop that I have conducted to my students. And I will do it with you, some activities. So this is what we are going to do today. So next slide, please. And so what is let's look at the definition of what is digital. So digital storytelling, if we hear this word, we hear three words, yes? Next slide, please. As digital plus story plus telling, yes? And how do you think? What do you what kind of what do you mean? What do you understand by the word digital? Can you write in the chat? And while you will be writing, I will tell that digital storytelling project was I applied for the alumni small grant in 2019, and to facilitate the digital storytelling with my long-term colleague, George Brexa, as you can see in the photo. She is also an alumna of T program and Fulbright program. She was a teacher whom I hosted by T program in my town for 3 weeks. And we became a very good friends. And we together wrote grants. In 2010, we did our first steps to digital storytelling at that time. But in 2019, we started again, get together to write another grant, digital storytelling, and to do it with my access girls from Pushonion district for 15 girls. But due to COVID, we choose only 5 girls, and we couldn't bring George Brexa to Tajikistan to teach us digital storytelling skill. And we planned to do it in American space, but it was closed due to COVID. So we decided to reimagine, to redesign our workshop and to do it hybrid model. So my job was to do it on Zoom with girls. And the theme that we choose for the story was resilience. And before we started to do this project, I wanted to bring this expert to Tajikistan to teach, but due to COVID, she couldn't travel to Tajikistan, and she taught me how to do it online on Zoom meeting every evening, 2 hours, the whole month of August.
Zebo, we don't hear you. Okay.
And finally, I learned the skill of digital storytelling. It was very hard to go all this process of making the story, but I did it. So I have new skills now. But we schedule our training in September 2020 with Access Girls. But before applying the story, I wanted to check it to see if I learned it very well. And I did it to my 7-year-old son. And I taught him how to make the digital story. We wrote narrative, and then I taught him how to put the photo, the text, all together to make a story. I see that I did it, and then I started to teach it to girls. So digital stories are short, personal, multimedia tales told from the heart, said Daniel Meadows. So really, that stories, the digital story should be very short, 2 or 3 minutes, and it should be told from the heart, the emotion. Next slide, please, and I will tell you how the process of it will go. But already I saw that in the chat you wrote about the digital, yes, the meaning of digital. And I agree with all of you that it's it's computer, it's internet, it's technology, it's camera. Well done, it's good. And yes, digital can refer to information provided on internet. Digital is providing information to connected electronic devices in your hands. So historically, the meaning of the digital means digit, yes, digit, which mean numbers. So digital, as we understand, providing information to the and to connected electronic devices in your hands. So we are typing this. But before get to this point, we have to have our story. We need first to write our narrative, our script, our story before we make it digital. Next is story. How do you understand now story? What definition would you give? What is story? How do you understand that? Next slide, please. Story is our history, yes? Story. It's narrative, absolutely right. It's narrative of events, right? Yes. So next slide, please, could you, Nasiba? Stories also is a telling information, yes, telling experience, telling a point of view. Yeah, we tell stories every day. Every day we share stories with our colleague. When we go to office, we say, hi, how are you doing? What's news? Yes, we are telling our stories. What film do you watch yesterday? What happened to you? And what books did you read? So yeah, stories definition is tale, yes. And it has narrative, it has sequence. As we see that story elements, we're all familiar with it, when with a setting, plot, conflict, character, point of view, and theme. So the story should have, when you create a story or when you read a tale or folk tale, you meet with this element. So I am a fan of teaching stories in my English lessons, and I love teaching folk tales in my lesson. And when I teach it, I introduce my students with the story elements, with the setting, where it happened, with the plot, with what was in the beginning, in the middle, in the end. And of course, all the story have a conflict, a problem. And we develop critical thinking through storytelling. What happened with the character, and from whose point of view the story is told. Who is telling the story, from the first person or from the third person? And of course, the story has a theme, the love or maybe friendship, yes. And when you make a digital story, you should think about the theme, what your story will be around, what theme. When we taught story, when we taught digital story, we choose resilience. So our girls made their stories around this theme, what happened with them during the challenging time of COVID. So girls wrote their stories according to this theme. And of course, all the stories start with the magic words, once upon a time. Yes, from early childhood, we hear this word. So it's the word itself as a magic. And we tell, the next slide, please. And I start using stories in my lesson because I see some changes in my lesson. The shy students start to talk. It's a good way to push our students to speak, because most of our students have embarrassed to speak in front of everybody. And through storytelling, I become more close to my students. We share the story, and students become more communicative, and they become, we teach them empathy, respect, and critical thinking. And in making digital story, we met with my students with another terms, element. It's called the narrative arc. Can you make a next slide? Next slide, please. So when you make a story, a digital story, you have to make a story through the narrative arc or story arc. So it's look like this. So the story should be like an arc, like a mountain, and it has some terms. Next slide. Can you show the story arc, how it's look like? Yes. One, no, back, previous slide.
Okay.
Back. One more. Here you are, yes. And we all know the story has a beginning, the middle, next to, yes, this one, middle and end. When I was taught how to make a digital story, when I was started to writing the script, the beginning is called hook. Yes, we have to catch attention of our stories. We should write something very interesting at the beginning of our story. It's also called exposition. You look the story arc at the beginning of the story where characters and setting are introduced. The middle is called rising action, or rising action, where the main character faces series of conflict. And then climax, which is the most exciting part of the story, when we learn what happens, or suddenly something happened with the character. So the turning point should be on the top. And then the story goes down, it call it falling action, the events leading to the end of the story. And then the last is the resolution. So before we taught our girls to write their script, their narrative, we introduce them this story arc, because when you create your narrative, you have to follow this story arc. So you have to start with a hook, with then rising action, and then suddenly happens something with our character, and then the solution, our character finds solution to his problem, and the end of the story is a resolution, when your story giving a message, giving a lesson. So this is the story arc. So we learn about digital, we learn what is story and the power, and then now telling. What is telling? We know that telling is sharing, yes? Sharing something to other people, yes? So now we know that what is mean digital plus story and plus telling. So telling means that having an effect and impact. So your story, when you share your story, it should impact someone. Your story should impact someone, because when we are telling a story, we want to give a message. When we share our personal story to someone, we want that someone learns something. And this is the definition of the three words: digital plus story and telling. And now let's go to the journey of how the digital storytelling process look like. And according to Samantha Mora, she provided a great overview of the digital storytelling process. You can see the 8 steps of creating it. The first one, the step 1, you can see, come up with an idea. So before you start, so when you start digital storytelling, you should brainstorm in what topic you will take. So you choose your theme. It's a resilience now. Now you have to think and brainstorm what idea, what topic you will do. So the first step is brainstorming, yes, giving ideas. So you are making notes. And the next is, when you choose your story, when you choose your topic of your story, maybe it will be friendship or loss, or love or family, loneliness. Then you go to step 2, to research, to explore, to learn more. So maybe digital storytelling that I am telling, it is narrative, personal stories. when you choose this area, when you do research, of course, you don't go to Google to find information about your personal story. You go to you interview your parents, if you want to learn something, and you go to the interview the member of your family, as I told. You're doing a research, a learning before. The step 3, and then you start, when you're ready, and when you learn about the story arc, you start writing your script, your first draft. And then step 4, a very important one, is storyboard. So you visualize, now you're putting your story, you imagine how your story will look like. And you are making the plan. And then the step 5 is gather, create images. So now your script is written, you have storyboard. So now you have to find images for your story. If you don't have images, you can create it. In our case, we don't ask students to find photos from Google. We taught them how to take photos, how to take creative photos. You can draw it, you can take photos from your mobile. And the students took photos, and the step 6, now it's time to put all together, the narrative, the image, plus then the music, because we have to put also the music, a very slow music, to accompany the narrative and the script. The step 7, of course, every story are told for sharing. You create a story to share to someone, that your story impact. So that's why if you are doing a story, your aim should be sharing. And step 8 is feedback and reflect. So when the stories are done, you share with everybody. So you choose your audience, you invite your peers or other class. In our case, we invited the parents of the girls. They watch their stories and they give their feedback. And the step 9, so this is the 8 steps that when you want to create a digital story. So next, so this was the process of it. And now you may be interested to, this picture I wanted to show that before I scheduled the project in September 2020. I wanted to check my knowledge, how I learned about digital story, all this process, 8 process of digital story, and I did it to my 7-year-old son. So you see, he drew his story was about monkey, and he drew the picture of monkey, and then he sat in a computer and go all through these 8 processes. Of course, the script, the narrative, we created together. So I just wanted to share that I showed my son's digital story to my first workshop to my 5 access goals. If the 7-year-old boy do it, you can do it too. So it was like encouraging them, because when you learn something new, you're a little bit scared. Can I do it? Can I manage it? Because it looks scary at the beginning. You will create a digital story, but the process is very long. So I showed my son's digital story to my girls to encourage them that it's not so difficult. So next page, I would like to show you, might be interesting, how the digital story look like. So let's watch one sample of one of my students' digital story. You watch it very carefully, because after it, we can do some activities. Nasiba, can we watch?
Yes, we are going to watch it, yeah.
Yeah. So my 5 girls created their story, digital story. So these were the 16, 17 years old girls from Access Micro Scholarship Program from Kushonyon. The theme, the topic of this story is reconnected.
Years old, I had a golden opportunity to improve my English language for free through the English Access Microscholarship program in my school number 35. I remember the first day when I entered the classroom. I didn't realize that I will learn English in such an interactive way full of interesting activities and that I would develop leadership skills and a sense of responsibility through doing volunteering work. But at the beginning, I was afraid to speak English. I had no confidence, no courage to speak in front of others. My teacher encouraged me to overcome this challenge and become an active student. Our teacher brought her former black students to class. They shared their success stories. I was inspired and motivated and hoped that I will overcome my fear. I studied hard and had the courage to speak in front of everyone. Everything went well. Then suddenly everything changed in April when COVID-19 came to our country and our access lessons were cancelled. Our public school closed too. I didn't get up early to go to school and meet my friends. I didn't go to my access lesson where I felt very happy. I became passive. I lost my hope and motivation. All of our family members were at home, and we were very sad because many people died of this virus. We couldn't visit our relatives. During lockdown, most of my access friends experienced the sadness which came from feeling lonely. Then one day, I was informed that my access lessons will be through the cell phone. I was happy that I could reach out to my peers and my teacher. I was happy that I could hear her voice even for 10 minutes. At the beginning, I felt anxious during the phone lessons. Then I adapted to this new experience. I became connected with my classmates and teacher. Access students supported each other and we built a sense of togetherness through the cell phone lessons. For me, phone lessons are better than separation. I am reconnected in a disconnected world.
This was a digital story of Marhabo, one of my students. The topic she chose, reconnected. We know that during the challenging time of COVID, the school was closed and students were very sad because they were at home. They couldn't see their classmates, teachers, and so she created this story to share how she felt during that time. And I think that digital storytelling is excellent method. It's for the simple reason it brings learning, the content, the educating to where students are. In the age of technology and of multimedia, students are becoming more and more digitally native. And by teaching them using a platform, they know and understand. And it keeps them engaged and motivated in the work they are doing because students like technology and they are very good, better than us, the teachers. They know technology, they become native. So you just teach them how to write the story, the narrative, because narrative drives the digital story. The narrative is more important in digital storytelling. That's why creating and writing the script, it is very, very important in digital storytelling. And now we will do some activities through this. So I will share with you during my 4 workshops that I conducted for the Access Girls. I would like to share the sample, the fragment of it with you. So before, as I told you, before you begin writing your script, you choose a theme. Yes, we choose the resilience. Begin thinking about this purpose of the story, why you are writing the story. You have to think, why I am creating this digital story. You should have a purpose. You should give a message to someone. Why with your story? Are you trying to inform or convince, or provoke a question. Also think about who is your audience. Who will be listening your story? Are they teenagers or adults? When you're creating a story, you should think about your audience. Whom should be it referring? Can you tell the story just for a few minutes? Because we know that digital storytelling should last 2 or 3 minutes, no more. If it will be longer, it will be boring. And the story should be very short. When you're writing your script, you should write simple sentences, not complex sentences, short sentences, as you see in Marhabo's story. And when you write your first draft,
Zebo, please check your microphone. We don't hear you. We apologize for the issue that Zebo is having with her internet. She might be joining soon, but while she's joining, let's just have some discussion around the digital storytelling. If anyone has an experience in doing this in your classroom, you can raise your hand and we can unmute you so that you can share your experience. Okay, Malma. Okay, Zebo is back now. Okay.
Okay. Then we'll share.
Thank you, Malma. We will hear your feedback later, okay? Zebo, we can't hear you. You're unmuted. You're muted.
oh, here, Imai. So when you we are talking about the script, right? So when you write your story, your script, please try to improve the version of the script until you you're satisfied with the result. So next page, please, Nasibahon. So here you can see example how our expert Jod Brexa give feedback to our students. So when Marhabo wrote her first narrative, you can see that she got a feedback from her that the second draft she improved her script. So you can see here how she give the feedback. Next page, please. So next. So the storyboard. So when you finish the script, you start recording it now. So you record your voice. So we use a platform for recording video program. It's a we use this one. We purchase this program. It's not free, but you can do it in other phone mobiles. Movie Maker. Before we did our stories in Movie Maker. So let's go to the step storyboarding. So when the students finish their script, we give them this template. The template. So the students now the storyboard now allows them to visualize what the story looks like. So you can see the example here, how the student, they write the sentence and they write the picture. So it will help them to see the sequence of the element of their story. So the storyboards allows them to make changes while they are in the development process. Before they actually sit down at the computer, they put all together. It's very helpful first to do the storyboard. You can see, you can visualize how your story will look like. So you see the student write and they draw a picture of it. And so next page, we go to the, so here you can see the script of Marhabor's digital story. So I highlighted some words. You can see classroom. So when students finish the script writing and recording, now it's time for images, for photos. How they will find photos, where they will find photos. At least there should be 24 photos, no more, for your digital story. So with a highlighter, we ask students to highlight the key word of your story. So the student highlighted the word classroom, confidence, COVID-19, lost my hope on motivation, this sadness, the felt anxious, and the lessons through cell phone and reconnection in this connection world. So the student highlighted this word. So this, they have to find photos. For example, what image can you put in the word confidence? So when you put your narrative, your pictures should match your narrative. So next page, please. I have activity with you. It's time now for tips for taking photos. We also taught them how to take photos and what kind of photos to take. When capturing images for your digital story, take them from the variety angles. When you think about your subject, use the environment around you. You create a new feeling. Use the landscape or nature. Take photo of people who you love, who support your journey. So now they will try to shoot from above, from below subject, try long shot, close shot, use variety angles. And let's do this activity. So these words, I highlighted these words from my students' narrative. Happiness. Now it's your task, right in the chat box, what photo or image that you can draw it in your storyboard. For example, you highlighted the word happiness. What picture will you put in this word to represent this word, happiness? A baby, yeah, of course, baby. And happiness. Smiley face, yes, yes, smiley, happy face, smiley face, great. Another word, love. What word, what image would you represent in this scene? Healthy and good life, yes. Love, of course, we know how to put this photo to this scene. Gift and balloons, yes, excellent. Lonely, prayer, prayer. What kind of image you will represent in this scene? Prayer. Holding something favorite, our family. All right, great. Loneliness. What about loneliness? What photo you will respecting? A sad face, yes, loneliness. We can, students even make themselves very sad that take photo, because we wanted the student don't use images from Google images. We wanted that they be creative. Digital story taught them many skills: be creative, critical thinking, technology, literacy. So we wanted that they become creative. Cry, dark room, yes, you can see in Marhabo it was a dark place, yes, great. Loss. What about sickness? Sickness, how you will represent this word, sickness? COVID-19, right, yes, we can. Hospital, excellent. Apimunava, yes. Loss, what about loss? In this challenging time, I'm sure every of us had lost our close people, our friends. So this, one of my students' presentation was lost. She lost her uncle and failed, distance, passed away. A pandemic. We can, what about pandemic? What image? Education. What about education? What? School, yes. Book, yes. Yes, school, classroom, yes. You could see the school, the image of school in my students' digital story. Light, yes, education is light. Teacher, pupil, studying, yes, great. Strengths, what about strengths? What image? Pupil studying, yes. What about strengths? Muscles, yeah, yes, good muscles, yes. And resilience. It was very difficult for me because our topic was resilience, and we taught our students what image. They asked me, teacher, what image should I put in resilience? Resilience, what do you think? Can you give me definition? How do you understand the word resilience? Happy community, power, weakness, running till the finish. Yes, resilience, it's when you come back, bounce back from a very from a loss or from a failure. Yes, how you come back to your previous form, and you need the courage to come back. Yes, some people, when they feel they face loss, yes, they face failure, losing the job or losing a baby, they become very sad and very in such kind condition that they don't want to come back to the previous of their form. So they need the skill, the cope with their failures. So we taught the students how to come back to the previous, and how to be resilient, how to be strong, how to feel courage. Resilience is courage. And you know how I show them the resilience? I show them the picture of desert, and in the desert there's a flower come up from the desert. So it's a hope. It's like kind of hope. We have to hope for the better days. We have to have courage in spite of difficulties, to have courage and to come back to the previous form, to get back to your horse. So this is what I did with my students. When they wrote the script, we ask them to think about the photos, what the word they will find, what pictures they will find, because the pictures should match their narrative. So recording, as we told, the story is recorded because the narrator's voice is what makes the story interesting. When you are recording your voice, you are changing your voice. When we are listening, someone's telling a story, we listen the intonation, how the voice is changing. Yes, because the voice also is very important. It should be recorded as a performance, allowing the audience to hear the personal content and emotion reflected in the voice. When we hear a story, we hear the emotion through the voice of the person. So voice is very important. Next slide, please. And of course, when the students finish the digital storytelling, it's time to share. Of course, stories, as we told, stories are done for sharing, because we create the story. Maybe your story will help someone. Maybe your resilient story will help someone to come back to bounce back to their previous form. Hearing your story, putting yourself in your shoes, feeling empathy, then maybe they come up because we create story to impact someone's life. So we invited the parents of these 5 girls, but the mothers came to our screening, community screening. Only mothers came, and this was also very impressive because girls shared their story in Tajik, because we wrote it in English, and we asked students to put the story back translated to read the narrative in Tajik so that their parents understand their story. And I want to say that 4 of our story was very sad, and 1 story was a little happy. And during the watching the story, we could see how our parents were crying. When your story touched somebody, we told at the beginning, the story should be short and telling from the heart, from emotion. When we see they are crying, we understand that we did our job. We did it because we could touch their heart. And the girls had a voice to tell this in front of their parents. They had a voice to tell it. Their voices were heard. And then the parents were so happy to see the product of their children. You can see we give them the, can you go back to the previous form, Nasiba? We give them the flower-shaped sticker. After watching each, can you see it on the desk? After watching each presentation, we ask them to write 1 wish for their child, to each other. Every 5 girls had a sticker with the wishes. The parents wrote their feeling, the emotion when they watched their story. And of course, we invited other access girls who were not lucky to attend this workshop because due to COVID, we choose only 5 girls. And we call it First 5 Digital Storytelling Workshop. Why this 5? You may be asked, why only 5? Because we give, before this project, I give them task to write an essay. Why I am lucky to be access student, and I give deadline, and only these 5 girls send their essays to me. And when we didn't know that we will choose only these 5 because we were sure we will teach 15 girls, but COVID came and we took only these 5 girls because they handed their work on time, following the deadline. It was good lesson for others because to follow the deadline is very important also. And next slide, please. And of course, these 5 girls become digital mentors. We put some money from the grant to them. Now it's time for them to cascade their knowledge. Now they have to go back and train other 10 girls who were not lucky to be the first 5 girls of this project. So they conducted 4-day training. And they start writing the agenda of each day. They start writing, making budget, and they go to the bank, they take money, they go shopping and receipt, they're asking for receipt. All this set of skills help them to show how they become digital mentors. And next slide, please. And I think, yes, and you might be asked the assessment. how we assess it. During each workshop of 5 workshops, we give students checklists. Of course, before the project, we give pre-assessment and post-assessment for students before what we wanted to assess what skills they have, and then at the end of the we give them post-assessment, and there was already, they checked yes, there were a lot of yeses and nos. And so here you can see the checklist at the end of each workshop. We give them this checklist, and here teachers initial, I stamp it. If she watched the presentation about digital story, I put stamp, so it means that she did it. Then listen to the lecture about resiliency from teacher, yes, she did it. Write your own definition about what resilience, yes, check. So at the end of each workshop, they had this checklist as assessment, so they get stamps. If they have all the stamps, that's good. So this was the assessment. Next, what else we have? Next page. The outcomes. So yes, now what happened when the project was over? Through the process of participating in the hybrid digital storytelling workshop and producing digital story, these young girls with elementary digital skills have learned storytelling and technical skills, including narrative writing, editing, recording, editing audio, selecting, creating, and editing photo, and basic video creation, as well as a Microsoft Word, Gmail, and WhatsApp and Google Meet skills. And we all present, and also our girls and I and George presented a presentation this year at TESOL convention. So this presentation, digital storytelling, we presented in TESOL convention 2021. So our girls, not only digital mentors, they were trainers. So they were like us, trainers. And now I can say with a proud that 2 of these 5 girls become the finalists of the FLEX program, and they're going to US. And also the Sabohat she got a grant from USAND, and she did her community project proposal. She wrote project proposal for Access Girl to teach digital literacy skills for Access girls. So you see, this project helped them a lot. So what next page, digital. So this was a storytelling workshop that I have learned and I have done with my Access girls, and digital storytelling is a great way of sharing your story, especially personal. Not every girl at the beginning, I'm sure that you want to share the story because it was personal. They fill the press release form that I agree that my presentation will be on internet, that everybody will watch it. So we ask permission from their parents that their work will be on internet. So personal stories. So that's why we create personal stories, that to share it, to reach many others who relate to, and it can be help. Maybe your experience, your story, maybe help to someone. So the stories, digital story, is like a healing. You maybe recovering. Maybe it will be recovery for someone. So I hope this process that I explained will be helpful for you. I know every of you have a unique story. Every of us have a story to tell. And why not to start to sit down and write your story and share it? So all of us are storytellers in our life. And now it's time to do it digital, using technology, using computer. And we use in our program video platform to use photos and image and edit it. It was very easy for us. And Movie Maker is also very good to use. because it is not very expensive, it is very cheap, we have it in our computer. So with a simple help of technology, yes, we can create a very good, we can create a story and make our digital story recovering, exciting and rewarding. Your voice, and more important in the story is your voice will bring the project to life. So why not to go ahead and start you writing your first digital story? I have created my, if we have time, I can show you my, because before starting to teaching others, I was given a task from our expert to do my first digital storytelling story. And of course it was personal and I wasn't ready for that. And but I did it. You know, when you write down, bring everything that in your heart on the paper, you're kind of feeling like a relief, you know, when you put your story on there. But not everybody, I can say, are ready to share it, because as with the type of digital story we choose, it is personal narrative. There are other content the student can create digital story about English language in my life, for example, about Great Britain. They can create the digital story about Great Britain, United States, American holidays, yes, but they are not personal. The content, yeah, language, educational, but our story, we focus on personal narrative, personal stories that are here in our.
Thank you very much, Zebo, for such wonderful presentation. So of course, like, yeah, you can share your digital storytelling with us, because all your materials from today's webinar, we are going to post on our website. And so the teachers and all those who are members of the English Without Borders, they will have access to that, and of course use your material in their classroom activities as well. So we have a couple of questions from our audience. And dear audience, please find in the chat box the link to the quiz, because the link will be working till Monday, 5 p.m. So right after this presentation, you can just click the link and complete the online quiz. So the question to you, Zebo, if you compare your students' written work before your project and now, what changes do you see? Zebo? Zeboniso?
Yes, so when we started with Joe Brexa, our first 2010, yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. When I and Joe Brexer started planning our first workshop, first alumni grant, we call it Digital Use Action Project. So we follow it some elementary basic steps of digital storytelling, but not like this one. This one was very different from previous one, because previous one was that students asked the students to do a lot of volunteer works in their community and take photos of them and make a story of it. When Joe Brexit came, the student wrote the script. So the story, this was also a story, but we were not familiar with this arc of narrative arc. We just created, it was a basic digital story skills, but now the 8 steps of the process of making the time we choose another audience to do when so I think there is a big difference between the first one 2010 and then 2020. After 10 years we learn new skills, new knowledge.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zebo. We have another question. In what ways teaching digital stories helped you be more helpful and supportive towards your students? Zeboniso, are you with us?
Digital storytelling, I see that there are a number of skills my students gained through. It's not only technology. Yes? Yeah. So,
Yeah, yes, continue, please. Hello, Zebo. Okay, so I think that Zebo is having some technical issues. So anyway, thank you very much, Zebo, for such nice presentation, and we can see that it's a very nice tool to boost students' confidence and also their storytelling, both in narrative form as well as in writing form. So thank you very much. And using this opportunity, I would like to thank all the attendees of today's Zoom, as well as just those who joined us via Facebook live stream. So you can see in the chat box the link to the quiz, and also we posted the link to the quiz on Facebook as well, see in the comment box. And yes, please hurry up and complete the quiz to get your e-certificate by the end of this month, as soon as we complete all 7 webinars. Once again, for your nice discussion, as well as just your active participation. And please stay tuned on us and join our next week webinars as well. And also just stay tuned on us, because we are going also to come up with really nice announcements for the teachers very soon. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everybody. And thanks you once again, Zeboniso Murodova, for such nice presentation. Today we talked about how we can build resilience through the digital storytelling. Thank you, Zebojo.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure to share my stories with you all.
Yeah, thank you for sharing nice stories as well. Like, you know, we are so proud of you and your accomplishments. And of course, like, we can see that you are doing a great job by promoting English, and also just by building women leadership, girls leadership in your region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I wish I could watch all 5 digital stories, but time.
Yeah.
Time is not.
Anyway, yeah, we will share all those links with our audience. We'll be posting them on our website, so the teachers can use them as a motivation and inspirational digital storytelling in their classrooms. Thank you very much.